Um, Welcome to our presentation in science class. We researched the question of how does color affect the quality of flavor?
First to start, I'm sure you guys have all heard of Fruit Loops and maybe have tried them. If you have, virtually clap if you like the yellow ones and put a thumbs up if you like the blue ones. Okay. So, to start, before we begin with our data, we want to tell you that Fruit Loops are the same flavor. The only different thing about them is their color.
Okay. So many companies that produce food and or drinks use food coloring in their products. Seeing appealing color supposedly alters the taste and makes it have more flavor in people's minds. Food coloring is proven not to be healthy if too much is consumed and has been linked to organ damage and cancer in animal testing. So we wanted to see if it's really necessary for companies to use food coloring in their products. If this is the case, we researched the question of how does the color of food and drinks affect the quality of flavor?
These are the three foods we used. Orange soda, one clear and one dyed orange. A mint chocolate chip milkshake, one white and one dyed green. And a lemon cake, which was one mildly yellow and one was bright yellow. We picked three foods because they're all mostly colorless. We then added color to half of the batches of the food and handed them out to the test subjects and started our testing. Another reason we chose these specific foods, is because we thought it gives us the best information on how color affects drinks and food.
That people believe that the orange soda with orange food coloring, lemon cake with yellow food coloring, and the mint chocolate chip milkshake with green food coloring will all taste significantly more flavorful than the other food and without food.
Okay, our first step was to make the cakes. So after preparing the batter, we added 80 drops of yellow food dye to our 2 yellow cakes out of 4, and we added none to our mildly yellow cakes. We baked the 4 cakes and we froze them so they would stay fresh.
The period before our testing, we added 1 drop of red and yellow food coloring per can of half the stevia and none to the other half we clear.
And for the milkshake, we added 30 drops of green dye to 1/2 of a tub of ice cream and none in the other. And then we blended each half separately with milk, so we would have 2 different milkshakes.
Okay, to test our hypothesis, we took 2 groups of students tested on different days and gave them 2 samples of each type of food, one colored and one not. Immediately after trying each food, they filled out a Google form asking which food had more flavor and 1 word to describe each food. We had 3 types of food to test with. Lemon cake, 1 with added food coloring and 1 without. Orange soda, 1 with food coloring, 1 without. And a mint chocolate chip milkshake, 1 with green food coloring and 1 without.
While the results were in our favor, we do recognize that there were a few errors throughout the process. First, when making our milkshake, for the first experiment, we put it in the refrigerator for a few hours before the experiment, whereas in the second experiment, we made the milkshake right before the test started, so they both did taste slightly different. One tasted fresher than the other. Second, for the first experiment, we were not as clear about which food was which, if one was colored or not, and therefore some people may not have known which was which and might have chosen the wrong choice in the Google form. Last, when the cakes were cut, they were 1 by 1 squares. However, for the soda and milkshakes, each cup had slightly different amounts of the drinks in them, and if people could have more, they may have chosen a different option. In the end, even though our conclusion was as expected, there were still some errors.
As you can see, the yellow cake was significantly more popular as opposed to the white cake. People thought that the cake with yellow color tasted better and had more flavor than the white cake, even though they were actually the same flavor. Around 83% of the people believed it tasted better, so this helped us with our conclusion that color does affect taste. With all 3 of the foods, the majority of the people thought that colored food and drinks had more flavor than non-colored food and drinks. This helped us understand why companies use food coloring in their products. Based because people generally find foods that are brightly colored more appealing and taste better.
Overall, as shown in this graph, our test subjects found that foods with food coloring had more flavor. Specifically, 68 people overall chose colored foods and 22 chose non-colored. This overall data shows that color does affect people's quality of flavor. People believe that color changes the flavor of food and the quality of it. People are attracted to color like we thought in our hypothesis. We thought that people would choose the colored version over the non-colored one, and they did.
Fun facts. Fruit Loops share the same fruit blend flavor. Smarties are all the same flavor except for the orange one. And together, all the kids in America drink and eat around 2,000 gallons of food coloring.
It's a lot, food coloring.
Okay, any questions? Thanks for watching. And go to the next one.
Okay, well, first ask questions and then thanks for watching. But first ask questions if you have any. Just by raising your hand.
Question?
Yes.
Zach.
Is there any chance, like, do you know, does food coloring actually alter the taste of
It doesn't. It doesn't. Food coloring really doesn't have any flavor. And if it does, it would not be noticeable enough for it to.
Very little amount requires a lot of color, so it wouldn't like affect the actual taste. And these are the sources we use for our analysis and our.
What about Gabriel? Do you have a question?
Yeah. Why do you think that like the yellow cake with like people prefer the the yellow over the white cake, but less the
I can answer.
It's a psychological thing. It might have to do with the actual color yellow itself.
Also, what people said is they said it tasted more like lemon, like a lot. Some with the words, how he said that, you used the word to describe the food.
It just has to, yeah.
The white cake as a less yellow cake as vanilla, or like the clear soda as Sprite, and then the like, yeah.
It was really interesting. A lot of people actually thought that the two sodas, one was Sprite and one was Fanta. So it really depends on one person's personal preferences of flavor, because a lot of people just happen to like lemon cake a lot.
Yeah, but we didn't. Yeah, also we didn't ask them which one they liked more. We asked them which one has more flavor. So even if they didn't like it, just which one kind of tastes stronger of the flavor.
Also, I think the cake was more successful as opposed to like the milkshake, because people actually like the flavor of the cake more than the milkshake.
Yeah, people thought the milkshakes were really gross, and a lot of the people hated soda. So
yeah, so people usually like the cake more.
okay, thanks for watching. Wait, are there any questions? Yeah, sorry.
Question. Do you think that people and gave them the two, like either the two drinks or the two cakes, do you think people would say that they tasted the, like, do you think that would have an effect?
What? Sorry, what was the question?
Can you type it?
Yeah.
So if you blindfolded people and you gave them the two cakes,
I think they would have thought it was the same because it was the same.
Do you think that?
I think that would affect it because our whole experiment is based on sight and what they see and how that affects.
Oh, wait, Ella, remember when we had the can of Zevia and we put the food coloring in the can?
Yeah.
And it tasted better even though we couldn't see it?
Yeah,
so maybe it was just psychological because we knew we put it in, but it tasted sweet. Like the color just made it taste better in our heads.
If you didn't know and it was food color, like if they didn't know it was colored and they were blindfolded, I think it would affect it because it's based on sight, and when you see things, like it tastes different.
like your brain associates the color with a certain flavor, and that's why you'll taste it as sweeter. Whereas when it's clear, your brain will associate it with something with less flavor.
Exactly.
So, are there any more questions? No. Okay. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Okay. There are more questions.
Oh,
Clem,
there are more.
I don't see any.
and Clem, I don't know, Clem's thumb up. And what about, is that just a response?
Oh, that's
There's a
clapping
thumbs
hand.
up, not a hand.
So I have a question. If you were to continue on with this experiment and you wanted to do an extension or the next step, what would you begin to explore now? So first thinking about anything that you would have improved on, and then moving forward, what would be your next step for testing? I'm very curious.
What colors affected certain flavors?
Yeah.
Like, does blue have more of an effect than green, or?
Also, going forward, now that people are aware of this, how can you avoid eating food like coloring, because it's typically not good for you? And
They should make it with more natural ingredients.
how you can avoid it, and now that people are aware of this.
Yeah, because since now, like, it actually is just a mental thing. Like, they weren't any different. So I think that could make it easier for people to avoid food or drinks with a lot of food coloring.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Sarah.
I'm gonna